Hello and welcome to Becoming Abundant podcast. I am your host, Anna Maria Jinga, and this is our side of the internet where we get to speak about true abundance, personal authority, emotional optimization, and the pure power of alignment, all while living in the presence and guidance of God Himself. I am a holistic coach and mentor focusing on healing the emotions keeping you stuck so that the mind and body can align and live a limitless life. We all have a mission and a purpose, and I am here to help you unchain from what's been holding you back to actually live in your full potential. Think of it as transformative triggering in the best possible way. The time has come to live a life you love. Let's dive in. Hello, my darlings, and welcome to another amazing week of Becoming Abundant podcast with your host, Anna Maria Jinga. Thank you so much for tuning in because today, my loves, we have an amazing guest speaker that I've been waiting so long to have her here, and I'm so excited to share her with you. But before I dive into all the questions and magnificence we get to share together, let me introduce you to my dear friend, Chelsea Kearns. She is an AI consultant and system strategist who is redefining what it means to lead with both ambition and alignment. With over 18 years of experience, which is weird because she looks 20, uh, she has this experience in real estate and marketing. Chelsea has helped countless high performing agents reclaim their time, reduce burnout, and build businesses that actually serve their lives instead of running them into the ground, which is fantastic. Her work blends cutting edge AI and deep human strategy, guiding growth minded leaders like ourselves to scale sustainably, delegate with confidence, and reconnect with the purpose behind their success. Chelsea's mission is rooted in creating freedom, not just efficiency, because abundance, hello, abundance, as she sees it, means having the space to be present, fulfilled, and fully in charge of your legacy. My darlings, please help me welcome Chelsea Kearns. Hello, my darling.
Hello, my darling. Hello, my darlings, your darlings, our darlings. First of all, I know that you're just introduced me, but I just want to say, and I know that this is, the sentiment of everybody in your audience, that Anna, I am such a huge fan of yours, and having the relationship with you in my life has been instrumental in some serious, steep, and monumental growth in my life. And there's not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for knowing you. And of course, anybody in your audience, I'm sure, can claim the sentiment. And anybody who doesn't quite know you intimately yet, you need to know Anna because she is a game changer, a life changer, and yeah, somebody you would be lucky to have a resource in your life.
Oh my gosh. Do you want to make me cry before we even get to the questions? Stop it. Thank you so
Check.
much for your kind words. Like, check. You are adorable, and I absolutely love having you in my life and the amazing changes and life experience we get to experience together. It's always so beautiful. So thank you for being here. I have a million questions for you. I have a million things to share with you. I have so much going on, and I know we want to keep it under an hour, but who knows how long it's going to take. So we'll figure it out. We'll wing it. We'll let God lead the way. I know that you are the first of what I feel like it's going to be many women in leadership that I want to have on this show. So let's dive into the first question that's in my mind right now, which is what does it feel like to step fully into the role of being a woman in leadership?
Yes, I think that that's a really important question that we sometimes we don't really take the time to think about. And I think leadership, I feel like looks like two different things. There's the leadership that is external and we're leading the people around us, and there's the leadership that's internal. And the leadership for ourselves, our self leadership, is the thing that we have to do every day. And we don't know that it necessarily looks like leadership. We might not call it leadership, but this is us setting the standards for ourselves and showing up when we don't feel like it, and deciding our state and our story before we start creating our strategy. Part of our conversation the other
Yes.
day, and just constantly making sure that we're holding ourselves to a higher standard, and then when necessary, also checking those standards and making sure that we're raising them. So I feel like the leadership everywhere starts with how we are leading ourselves, and that is really kind of like the thermostat that sets the temperature for the people around us, which gives us that next opportunity to lead externally in the people in our lives, whether that's our team, our family, our clients, because how many of us are working with clients? I know you do this with me all the time, where we need to lead our clients through their breakthrough or through their limiting belief in order to take the action that's in their best interest. So I think it's both internal and external, and it's really the internal that's that thermostat that sets the temperature for everything else.
Oh, I agree with the thermostat, and it's so important because what we feel inside, we get to multiply outside. And it's so important to realize that, especially as women in leadership, that it's not about fitting some shoes or some expectations from outside. It's how we get to dictate the energy. Because at the end of the day, what we sometimes forget as women is that we're multipliers, we're amplifiers. What we feel inside, we amplify outside. So if we're lacking, if we're feeling lost, if we're feeling like running on empty, we get to amplify that, and it replicates into our businesses as well. And I know that mm, I'm so passionate of what you do right now with AI and how important it is to have that kind of support in business. So I want you, if you have a few ideas to share with us around how important is it to have a great support system when you become a woman in leadership?
Yeah, I feel like the phrase is like it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child. I feel like it takes a village to support anything that we do in life. And inside of the village, there's many resources. There's the elders, there's our peers, there's the people who are coming behind us, and all of those you know, people inside of our village, they help to, guide the path for us. They help to lift us up along the way, and they help us to remember that we're leading an example for somebody else, and that there's like a pull motivation with our leaders, and there's that push from the legacy that we're leaving for the people that are beside us or behind us.
Yeah,
And I feel like what's important to have a support system is that you have to recognize that your support system looks like multiple resources. That
mm,
certainly looks like having your tribe, having your people around you, and it looks like having systems to support you so that you aren't always constantly stuck in the the mental load that comes with thinking about everything. I know your audience is full of a lot of women. Mental load is, I'm sure, part of the everyday conversation, whether we use that term or not, especially if you're running a family in any kind of relationship, whether that's a friendship or a partnership or, you know, anybody, really, any kind of relationship, you're always thinking, especially as women. And then when we have this entity, which is sort of like a living being in and of itself, it can be its own child, its own partner, its own um, we won't say lover, but it's his own relationship to you, right?
yeah,
And it also requires a lot of resources. And so we need to have systems in place to keep us running things through. So once we know what we need to do and we put a system in place to replace that, whether that's, just a simple checklist so we don't have to think about it, or we hire somebody into our team, or we leverage through a freelancer, or we start using technology like, CRM or AI and automation, all of those resources go to support us in making sure that we can do the thing that lights us up. And it's really the pull that pulls us forward, whether it's in our business or in our life, which is that calling and that passion that we're here to deliver to the other people. And the support system, all of the resources that go with that, make sure it's kind of like the diamond ring. You have the setting, and then you have the diamond, and we are the diamonds. Like the passion is the diamond, right? And the systems are the setting that hold that diamond in place so that it can just shine and sparkle without having to. It's not that you don't have to do anything else, but it really helps to set the foundation that the diamond is here to shine and to sparkle. Your systems and your
yeah.
resources support that.
Oof, I love that metaphor. And the visual of it makes me think of how important it is to take care of something really precious. Because our
Yeah.
passion is really precious. And we sometimes forget and kind of diminish it because we are like, oh, it's not that good. Oh, it's not that important. Just because people don't see you. And funny enough, my husband told me that if people you don't have enough people in your audience right now, it doesn't mean that what you're sharing is not important.
Mhm.
If enough people don't see you yet, it doesn't mean that the work that you're doing is not trailblazing a whole movement. Just like you, like I love the fact that you've brought so much of the AI and systems into creating more freedom for entrepreneurs, for business owners. You are creating the space where they can just be in their preciousness, in their power, in their life-giving opportunity
Mm.
without thinking, oh, what do I do now? You don't need that because you already have so many things put in place. So when you are thinking of this, the message that you want to share for people, for especially women in business that think, I don't know, they come to you, Chelsea, I don't know what I'm doing. I feel overwhelmed. I feel like I have a mission and a message, but I don't know what to do. I feel like I don't have enough support. What would you tell them?
Hmm. Well, I think the first thing that I would say, well, the first thing that I do say is that, I see you and I hear you, and you're not alone. And,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be feeling this if you weren't in action. And that's a beautiful thing. So, first, I recognize you, I see you, and I celebrate you because if you didn't feel this, it means that you were settling and you weren't pushing your limits. And so I honor you for that. And then the next thing that I want to say is, or that I do say is, we want to dive in and really understand like what is causing this pain, because especially as ladies, and I mean, I can't speak for men because I'm not a man, but from the clients that I have worked with, it seems like there's the emotional pressure that comes from, being on call all the time, and you're a mummy or you're a daddy, and you're a husband and you're a wife, and you are the boss and you are the leader and you are, the implementer, you're the fulfillment agent within your business, you're the salesperson. You have a lot of hats and a lot of roles. And I think that with that, it's so easy to feel like everything is just sort of like a fog or a blur in front of us. And the first step that we really need to do is start to kind of like fine tune the lens and get a little bit of clarity and a little bit of focus on what those things are specifically that are creating the overwhelm for us. Now,
Mm,
that can be any different arena, but specifically in the arena where I help my clients is, we're talking about businesses most of the time. And
yeah.
so if we could like use, just that lane for a moment of the business, it's like, okay, if we're really sitting and we're thinking like, what is the thing that creates the most pressure for me? Or, what are all of the things that create pressure for me? Let's just do a brain dump. Let's look at all these things that are getting in my way, or they feel like they're a block from me moving forward faster, or they feel like dread, or that when you get that tightness in your body because
Yeah.
something is holding you back. Let's really put a name on it. Let's just dump it down and get to look at it. It's the difference of like if you're inside the bottle, you can't really read the label about what's on the outside of the bottle, right? So it's just taking that moment to get above it, to get outside of it, and to look at the label and let's say, okay, this is what's going on here. Now we have a starting direction for we can move forward with a little bit more um, decisiveness in actually tackling the problem. We can go into the garden and we can pull the weeds because we know what the weeds look like now.
Yeah. Oof. The weeds. And I love the fact that you said when you're in the bottle, you can't read the label. Because sometimes we get so caught up in this story of, I'm so in the problem, I don't know how to wash myself off of the mud. And we're
Yes.
like just in the problem and say, I have a problem. Well, put it down, get out of
Yeah.
the bottle, go
Yeah.
read what's going on outside. And sometimes I've noticed in both my clients and friends of mine as well, when they're in problems, we tend to forget that we actually have a power of pausing, that
Mm.
putting it down and just looking at it, just like you said so perfectly, just brain dumping it, look at it from the outside. There's no rush. We tend to think that when we become women in leadership, when we become women in business, there's always a rush. We need to do so much. We need to compete with the men that have like a 24-hour cycle compared to our
Yeah.
28-day cycle.
Yes.
And
Yes.
every time they are on, they're like on and everything's great and they pump their chest and they do everything. And we try to match that and we're like, we're exhausted, we're burnt out, I feel gross, I feel like throwing up. What is going on?
Hmm.
Forget that we pause. We forget that sometimes when we are in our peak balance and we have an idea and everything else is aligned, we just take that idea and just multiply it 10 times more than a man. because men are great at building, but they're not great at multiplying. We have that in our DNA. We are created like that. And that's what makes us special. Men are amazing for what they do. We are amazing for what we do. But if we constantly compare and put our expectations to match what they do, it would constantly look like we are failing. It's like that sense of that saying of you cannot look at a fish and blame it because it cannot fly. It's a fish. It's not supposed to fly. Maybe some of them, you know, those fish that just jump out and like fly a bit and then go back in the water. Sure. But those are exceptions to the rule. When we are women in leadership, when we step into a leadership role, both as a mother or as a business owner or as a friend or as anything in life, we forget that we need that space to be held, to pause, to look at things without rushing into it. Because when we detach from the problem, when we clear off the mud, when we put ourselves back together and then look at the problem, we're going to be like, it's actually not as bad. I was just overwhelmed and over focused on it. I can totally take care of it and raise a child and build a family and build this and do that and all of it.
Yes.
And I know that you mentioned in a previous talk of ours how important it was for you to kind of step back sometimes and put different priorities in place. When you think of the self-care and the approach that you have taken now that you know how important it is to put yourself first, to prioritize self-care and pausing, how did that impact you in your business?
Yes. Okay. Excellent question. I would say that there's many different things. And I also wanted to take a moment. You said something earlier that made me think, when we're talking about resources a few moments ago, I think it's also really important to recognize that the resources sometimes that we need are the people who might be on a similar path or have a similar leadership style to us, or, offer the same gifts that we offer to other people, to offer those back to us. So like I receive that many times um, from you. I feel like I get nurturing from you in our conversations that I often am the giver of. And so I know feminine is often about receiving, right? And
Yeah.
this also ties into self-care, and it is the ability to receive and have that worthiness that if I'm going to continue to go out there and to pour out to other people, if I'm going to build my business, if I'm going to be the mommy or the daddy or the husband or the wife, that I need to make sure that I'm also filling my own cup. I know it's so cliche, but it really is important to understand that we need those resources as well. And
Yeah.
then tying that back into um, how taking care of ourselves helps us to move forward in our business. I'm going to give you an example of this morning. This morning, I was up early. I had a call first thing in the morning, and I was ready early, so I went outside for a walk, a wealth walk, I call it. I was walking around and I was enjoying the sunshine because it was supposed to rain today, but I was really grateful to be out in the sun. And as I'm going around, I'm just thinking about all these things that I'm grateful for, and sending a few videos to my family and so on, just letting them know how much I appreciate them. And that really started to cascade some things for me. So this is like a small example of self-care where really I was just going for a walk in the neighborhood. It was 20 minutes, 10 minutes there and 10 minutes back, and enjoying the sunshine and just enjoying the air, and blessing myself with recognizing all the things that are beautiful and wonderful in my life, and blessing others by, spreading that love around. And then when I had my call, it was amazing. It was very well connected, will lead to some beautiful things moving forward. And I was done early, and I thought, okay, well, I'm gonna build out this website that I've been meaning to work on. And I did it. And here's how this ties in from the woo-woo to the real life. The woo-woo is I was taking care of myself and pouring in and noticing the gratitude and getting on that frequency of receiving and recognizing and enjoying things. And then how that translated into, getting things done, getting it done, if I can say that, is, like I was able to sit down. I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually think I know a faster path to get the outcome that I'm after. And I saved myself probably 3 or 4 hours of doing all these things that would have got me the result, but it would have taken me a lot longer to
Yeah.
get the result, and possibly created a lot more friction for my audience to engage with me. And instead, I found like, oh, I'm gonna get here really quick. I can create this result this much faster because I have this space of clarity and connection that is, again, about receiving and recognizing what's coming to me rather than me trying to force out and trying to control things. And again, masculine energy, beautiful men, beautiful in their masculine, amazing and wonderful, time and a place. And sometimes being in that receptive mode helps things come in clearer. And when we can turn down the noise of I should, and shoulding all
Yeah.
over ourselves, we can turn that voice down a little bit and just kind of get quiet, and we can recognize that, oh, hey, here's the shortcut. Hey, here's the thing that's going to really make a difference. Hey, here is something amazing that's coming your way. By the way, I got a free coffee this morning right when I was doing that. I went to the
What?
coffee shop. I got a
Love
free
it.
coffee when I was doing that. This is some minor thing, but also kind of a big deal in terms of just being receptive and open to what is coming. And that, to circle back to your question, is it comes from making self-care a priority. So self-care really isn't just about, looking after yourself. It is, but it's also like the shortcut to
Yeah.
the fast path. It helps you to move a lot faster in your business because you're clearer. You understand what the next step is. You have that ability to tune in to those little voices, that the quiet voice that might come in the pit of your stomach. For me, it's in my stomach. For me, sometimes it comes in my heart, and just to receive and see those gifts that are on the path when you're in the right space to receive it, because you gave to yourself first in looking after yourself and taking that time to pause from shooting all over yourself, and then just allowing those pathways to open up for you.
Yeah. Oof. You said it so well. And it's funny that people think that self-care, putting ourselves first, putting priorities that would take care of us first are so last season. They don't need to be prioritized. They don't need to be seen. It's that belief that I can just push through this, push through. It's gonna be the grind and hustle. And I really believe that hustle culture is a lie. And you probably
Mm.
agree with me on that one. We can hustle and still be in flow. We can hustle and still be prioritizing ourselves when hustle means we just get shit done. Because
Yes.
self-care, it's very cliche to say, but self-care isn't selfish, it's selfless. Because, and I actually talked about this in a previous episode where I talk about how we have the cup and we say, oh, our cup is full or our cup is empty. It's actually wrong. The cup is not empty, it's full of poison.
Yes.
And whenever we have negative things or running on low or little sleep, poor quality meals, not seeing sunlight for 3 to 5 business days, and all of that, our cup is full of that. So, what do we put out more from that cup? We put out lack, we put out poor quality work, we put out anger, we put out reactivity, we put out all of the negative things instead of pausing and being like, please hold. I need to empty my cup and pour goodness and pour some sunlight and pour some healthy water and pour a mental break and pour a brain dump because it's like 45 million tabs open. I just need to close some of them. And then if you have something negative in all of that fullness, it's not going to be the same. It's still going to be like, if I react poorly to a response, I'm going to be like, please hold, let me go back to the bottom of my cup that's full of love and peace and respond from there. It's
Mm.
easier to apologize sometimes. It's easier to come back and be like, hey, actually, the way I responded, my tone was weird. So I'm sorry. Let me go back and be like, let's fix this. It will solve 90% of the world problems if we realize that when we pour into ourselves, it's actually important because we get to magnify that outside. And
Yes.
on that note, I love the fact that, and we can dive a little bit deeper into this because I know very little about AI, and you are the expert, magnificent person that actually knows what she's talking about. So
I
that's why
got
you're
you.
here.
I got you. I
Got it.
got you.
When we have something like AI, I know in my business, like we have in our podcast now, Fathom, that's going to take amazing notes and I don't have to worry about it. I have ChatGPT and Grok that I do all sorts of brainstorming and all of that. 2 years ago, I didn't have this, and it was like 3 to 5 business days of brainstorming one small idea, where now it took me 20 minutes to put together an outline for a project I'm on. That in itself can even be seen as self-care, because you have something, you have a tool that is supporting your creativity. You don't need to sit and do the mechanical thing. You sit more in the creative part. So tell me more about this. What can AI help us in our business as entrepreneurs, in our life, day-to-day things, in everything that would support women to be more women?
This is
Right?
so juicy, and I feel so passionate about this, and I'm so grateful that you mentioned this because this is something that's really important to me, which is, getting out of that burnout cycle really is what it's all about for me. Whether that's leveraged through systems, whether it's through humans or through technology like AI and automation, the goal here is to get rid of a lot of that mental load and that busy work so that we can be more in our essence. The bottom line, that's what it is, right?
Yes.
And you mentioned about the cup. I just want to go to this for a quick moment because a visual that I got when you mentioned about, when we're drinking from a cup that's full of poison, we also pour from that cup when we're taking care of the people around us and we're giving out that poison to other people, and that ripple effect
Yes.
magnifies. And so when we don't use tools like AI, which I'm going to give you some juicy nuggets here in a moment, but when we avoid using self-care, which can include the use of tools like AI, we are perpetuating that ripple effect of chaos and burnout and frustration, and there's so much going on, and we're feeding that to the people that we love the most, or the people that we're trying to make that impact on, and that poison ripple has a really big effect and is really really big impact. And so tools like self-care and building systems and creating AI for within our business and our atmosphere is important so that we're pouring from that cup of the essence, like we talked about. So coming to your question about like what are some amazing things that we can do? Gosh, I like honestly, there's probably hundreds and thousands and infinite number of things that we could go into details about, but I'll just share some of the things that have made the biggest difference for me and for my clients that I work with. So I'll start from the personal level because I know that one the best. So there's often times where I might be thinking about, okay, I've got all of these things that I have to do. I'm really busy in the doing season and the
Yeah.
creating, which is a lot of, well, I haven't built a human in my body before, but that requires a lot of energy, right? It requires a lot to build something. And so sometimes I can find myself sort of depleted. And then when
Yeah.
I'm depleted, my energy is lowered and I'm kind of find myself in a bit of a lower state where again, I might be shooting all over myself and I feel overwhelmed and stuck by all the open tabs, right? All the things that I have to do. And so, one way that I use AI, and this is just a tool that we all have access to. So, I like to use ChatGPT, it's my BFF, Grok, all the different ones that are out there. You can use any of them, Gemini. But there's a few prompts that I will copy and paste into a conversation with ChatGPT. And, depending on what it is that I'm needing to do, if I'm really feeling like I kind of need a hug, I call it getting a hug from a robot. If I really
I love
need
it.
to be lifted up, tell you what, there is no better tool. I mean, short of actually getting this from a human, and who's to know, like the humans in our life, sometimes their cup is full and they can pour out love, but not every time do the people in our life that are, at arm's distance, not every time we go to them and say, hey, I really need your support.
Yeah.
Sometimes their cup is full of, less than desirable things. So using
Yeah.
a tool like AI to help you kind of refocus, I have some kind of like, lift me up when I'm down prompts, which basically says, take what you know about me and help me to see the things about myself that even I don't see, and just get some
Mm.
really affirming things back. And of course, tools like ChatGPT and Gemini and Grok, whichever one you use the most, this is where you're going to want to use this
Yeah.
prompt because it's going to pick up patterns about you. The things that we go in and we're searching about our content and our ideal client and recipes to make and how to look after the kids and things we can do on date night and all of the questions that we have says so much about us when we're using these tools on a regular basis, depending on the account setup that you have, but for the most part, they're going to start to learn our patterns because they have memory. ChatGPT, for example, has memory and it's going to remember the conversations that you have. And so, as a pattern recognition tool, so I know I'm going a little bit on the techie side here, but as a pattern
Please do.
recognition tool, when you give it a prompt like, tell me things I might not even see about myself, and I have some really juicy prompts for you and for the audience. They'll be in the show notes here somewhere, and so you can go and get my really juicy prompts for this. But
Thank
when you
you.
ask it to do this, it's going to reflect things back at you. Again, when you're in the bottle, when you're in ChatGPT and you're asking all these questions because you're in the doing season or the building season or the 7 million open tabs season, you're in the bottle and you don't always see. And putting in a prompt like this to get some reflection about who you are when you're in the bottle gives you that opportunity to see yourself in a whole new way. And the beautiful thing about this, and again, this is just, you know, I think it's such a beautiful thing, hug from the universe, from God, through this robot that says, here's what I recognize about you. Here's what you're putting out into the world. And this, let me just reflect this back to you in a way that's going to be really meaningful for you to hear. And it sounds like, it's a reflection from this other entity, but really what it is it's you reflecting back to you because it's your patterns and you asking a really good quality question to get a really beautiful answer to bring you back up. And so, we're pouring a little bit of that poison out of our cup and pouring some self-love in there and filling that up to recognize like, whew, I don't have all my shit together, but I'm actually doing pretty great.
Yeah.
And you know what? I am a really caring person. I am full of love and I'm doing all these things for humanity. And this really does speak to my essence and to my mission and to the things that I am trying to do. And, this hug from a robot just reminds you that about who you are.
Yeah.
And so that I think is like my number one go-to thing that I don't necessarily tell everybody about because, a lot of times we're more in the we can use the term masculine here, like the get shit done. Like, how do you write me some, social media stuff, write some emails, let's
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
But this is more of a be prompt, like, how do I be? How do I exist? How am I in this world?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do stuff later, but how am I showing up here? That I think is my number one most powerful shift changer or a state shifter, I guess we could say, state enhancer, really. Sometimes that's enough for me. Sometimes I also need to go back in and it's like, hey, I need to figure out, okay, I feel better. Awesome. Now I still have to do all the stuff that needs to get done. Great. Okay, so let's plan out your day. Let's do a brain dump and let's just, talk it out loud because you can download it onto your phone and you can have a
Yeah.
conversation with this tool. You load in the prompt and then you just have a conversation back and forth. I walk around my house just getting my steps in so I'm productive while I'm talking out my to-do list. And then it helps me to, refocus by asking me some really powerful questions.
Yeah.
What's my ultimate result and what are the things that I need to do to make it happen and how do I want to feel and really getting me reconnected with the action steps in the doing part, um, that I can do from a better state because I have worked on my being and I can get into the doing. And this is just one simple tool. There's a gazillion million things that I could share with you, but that is one thing I would say that would help you to immediately, with no cost, really, other than you just need to copy and paste. It's going to cost you a few moments of your time to get in here and put this in, to receive a tremendous shift in your energy, which is the life force that's going to move your family, your relationships, your business, your goals, everything forward. And like, it can't be stated enough how important this is.
Yeah. Ooh, I need to sit with that. That was so good. I love what you said that when we have the poison in our cup, we don't have to have someone else and pour some of that poison onto them, but we can have an AI robot being like, hey, here's something that you forgot about yourself. Just pour that poison out. Fill your cup now with this. Remember all the things that you've told me already, because sometimes we forget. And it's like, hey, let me summarize how awesome you are, and let's pull that into your cup. And from there, you can continue your day. It's a small shift that can make a massive impact in our lives, in our minds, in rewiring our nervous system to hold more goodness, to come from
Mm-hmm.
more love. more alignment. It's like, and this is something that I know you and I have talked in the past, how some people are very reserved around using AI because, we all seen the movie Terminator and we're all Sarah Connor somewhere inside of
Yeah,
us. And
yeah.
but at the end of the day, I heard a friend telling me, and I know we've talked about this, you and I as well, around if we don't train AI to know the good, to know the benefits, to work with us and not against us, what are we expecting if something bad would happen? We are not doing our own role in this. So, what do you want to share to the Sarah Connors out there? I know you love this one, so
You know
please share.
what? I want to say I sometimes I'm a Sarah Connor too. Like I'm not gonna lie, the more that I learn
Same.
about AI, like I've watched all those movies too, and I've been kind of fed that narrative. And I think it is important that we keep an element of healthy skepticism around AI tools because, like, here's the thing, like, it's okay to have a little Sarah Connor flavor, you know. It's okay because you want to make sure that you are being critical of the tools that you're putting out there and you are thinking about how is this going to impact my life, but not so much so that it stops you from taking forward action. Because the truth is AI is not going to go away.
Yeah.
And we need to be responsible, just like, kids aren't going to go away. And some of them are terrors. Some kids might grow up to be serial killers.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't mean that we don't have a responsibility collectively as humanity to be involved
Yeah.
and to allow our hands to shape and mold the clay. And it's kind of one of those things like if you do have a high Sarah Connor, you know, I can't think of what the word is like if that is going high for
The
you,
level. Yeah.
it's the level of Sarah Connor. If you're kind of skeptical about AI, you should be, and you should be part of the solution.
Yeah.
Don't just don't be one of those people who sits on Facebook and writes a whole bunch of nasty stuff about it. Like, okay, fine, but like get in there, learn some things about it, educate yourself, ask AI to tell you about itself. And
Yeah.
yes, don't be worried about it. It's gonna like tell you something that is going to, I don't know.
Take over the
I've
world.
yes, and I just there's a part of me that's just like, well, I could see that,
Yeah.
and and I also think like, come on, like how is that going to help us? Like really, that stops us, that keeps us in fear. The reality is AI offers too much value to all of us, even Sarah Connor.
Yeah.
It offers so much value to all of us that it would be silly for us to just stay stuck in fear and not lean in and understand more. We need to educate ourselves. We need to use the tools and for tools like ChatGPT because AI is so much more than, large language models, which is tools like ChatGPT and Grok, those
Yeah.
conversational tools. It's so much more than that. And those tools like ChatGPT, they learn based on our patterns of interaction with them. So if you want to train these models, then you need to be part of the solution and part of the conversation where you are talking about the good of humanity and you're talking about the things that are important in your life. And, there's going to be one small, minute percentage that unfortunately is going to get 99% of the news coverage about all the bad shit that's going on with AI and all the scammers and all the fraud because, fear sells and that's good clickbait. But it's really such a small, minute part of the way that AI is being used. And AI is transforming so many things. Like there's such a beautiful, I'm sorry, I'm going on a little bit of a tangent here, but
Go for it.
there is beautiful stuff that is happening because of AI. There's
Yeah.
people who've been, paralyzed who are now having the opportunity through AI for good to get bodies back and they can connect with their brain and send signals about how to move this new robotic body that allows them to be up and around in the world. Like, come on, you can't
Amazing.
tell me that that is such a beautiful thing. And there's so many beautiful things happening because of this technology.
Yeah.
And we need to choose what we're going to focus on. We can have some skepticism.
Yeah.
It's just like you can love a person, you can love people, but you're not going to, bare your soul in front of everybody. You
Yeah.
have to be selective, but we need to be out and involved in the conversation because it's here. Like it's not going to go away. It's adding too much value to all of our lives. So we just need to be involved and bring Sarah with us, but not just go off the deep end and just think that, I mean, you can be one of those people who goes lives out in the woods and disconnects from
And
everybody
that's
else. I'm
totally
okay with
fine,
that too, but it will be very
but it's not for
lonely.
us.
Yeah.
That
Uh,
is so true. And what you said remind me of a conversation I had with a client today around, is doubt taking me away from faith? And
mm,
can I have faith when I have doubt? And I said, of course, because without doubt, you wouldn't know how strong your faith is. Faith is a choice, such as doubt is a choice. We constantly forget the power that we have in the choice. That if we want to see AI, circling back to AI, if we want to see AI as something bad, we will find all of the bad. We will be in the doubt because that's what we choose to see. But what if we use it for good? What if we use it to streamline our businesses, our livelihoods, the way we teach our kids? I use AI, an AI tutor for Patrick for math. It's fantastic. The
beautiful.
fact that I don't have to teach math, thank God for that. Because the things that he's learning at almost grade 4 now, I wouldn't be able to teach him because it's not my skill. It's not my high. I can teach him about mind and all the things. But the thing is, we forget that having a tool and leaving it as a tool does not mean that it's taking away from our own values. Just like social media was like 10 years ago when it started, everyone's like, it's going to be negative. Look at all of the bad things that are happening with cyberbullying and negative things and scammers and all of that. Sure. But it's also connecting 8 point whatever million, billion, trillion people we are in the world together, no matter where we are. We're
Mm,
having a conversation now online, you in BC, me in Calgary. I had a call this morning with my client from Netherlands. We connect everywhere in the world because of social media, because of these technologies that are helping us.
mm,
If we choose to see them as helpers and not as hinderers, that is the power of choice. And that in itself is something that both you and I were very passionate about. We want to bring freedom back to people like that.
yes.
Because when we choose to doubt, when we choose to fear, we forget that we still have a choice.
Yes.
Choosing to doubt, choosing to fear, or choosing to have faith and build on values, that's it.
Mhm.
That's where we are. And
Anna, what,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I was
go
going to say,
ahead.
just you inspired me as you were saying that, and tying this back into the theme of leadership and self leadership. That is a
Yes,
perfect example of self leadership. You can have two things that are true at the same time. They might seem like they're opposites, and they can be true at the same time. You can have fear and you can have faith at the same time. Both
yes,
can be true. And the leadership element comes back in deciding where you're going to focus and who's going to be in the passenger seat, who's going to be in the driver's seat, and who's going to be in the back seat. Like, okay, sure, fear
on
might
the
come
bumper.
along for the ride, but who's driving this? And that all comes back to self-leadership and leading the path forward for others.
Yes. Amen to that, honey. Ah, love it. I have one more question for you before we wrap up.
Beautiful.
When you think of someone, an entrepreneur, a female entrepreneur just starting off, just being like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed, and they come to you, Chelsea, what do I do now? I want to quit my 9 to 5 job and I want to feel like I can be my own leader. Where do I start? What would you share?
Mm, I love this because this is such a beautiful and courageous place for somebody to get to even admit it out loud. And I think what I would say is, again, it's like I see you and I hear you. And golly, I feel like I have a lot of things that I would want to say. I think the first thing is just to go back to getting the resources. The resources, make sure you have supportive people in your tribe around this dream, around this vision and this passion. And that tribe might not be the tribe that you have in your everyday life right now. Because that tribe that you have right now in your 9 to 5,
Yeah.
I'm not saying it is, but it might look like people who are also a part of that world, whereas 9 to 5 is the norm. They may not have the same dream seed that you do. And that's okay. And that's beautiful. And that's an important tribe to have. And you're migrating, you're moving into a new level. And with that, you're going to need new resources and a new tribe. And even though your best friend in this arena, in this current tribe, loves you so much, they see you as a certain, a 9 to 5er. And that is the identity they hold potentially for themselves and for you. And when you share that dream seed with them, it's actually very easy for that seed to get destroyed. And so first my thing would be find a new tribe and keep your dream seeds planted like close to chest. Keep them tucked into your heart. And you want to make sure that you're finding people that you can surround yourself, and it can be one person. Can be one person. Even if the one person is just you, and then you find another one, or you use a tool like, what we've been talking about here,
Yeah.
AI, to reflect these patterns back to you. You need to find resources in your new tribe that are going to support this new identity of you as an entrepreneur. And those dream seeds, sometimes they take a little while to start to grow, but that doesn't mean that they're not growing. And so the timeline between you getting this idea and before you start, excuse me, before you can get to that position maybe where you're ready to leave your 9 to 5, sometimes that takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. That's good. Some seeds take a long time. I have some seeds that I threw out in my yard a couple of years ago, and they're finally starting to grow because you know what? The timeline for that seed when I plant it is actually 2 years before it properly germinates and can start to grow up above ground. Well, this is the same for a lot of our dream seeds that we have in our heart. And, the tribe is kind of like the nutritious soil in the right light conditions and everything that we need to help us to go to that next level. Um, Further to that, inside of these resources inside of your toolbox, you want to start pursuing some things that might align with your passion. And it's going to be very easy for you to just go and get all the different tools. You're going to go onto YouTube and you're going to go onto social media and you're going to sign up for every free webinar that's going to make an offer for you. And that's okay too, because you know what? You're going to get all of the resources that you need to help you get clarity. And clarity sometimes means finding something that's not for you, and recognize that when you've gone down a path, I'll speak from my own experience. Sometimes I've gone down paths and thought, like, holy, I've invested so much time, money, energy into this, but this is not for me. And I feel like I have to stay in that path because I invested so much. But really, what I invested in was clarity, that this is not the direction for me. And it's actually a little bit closer this way. So, clarity is a big thing. And it's okay for it to take longer. And
Mm.
just be very careful who you share your dream seeds with, because you don't want people going in there and digging them up. The right people don't belong. They don't deserve your dream seeds. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean they don't belong in your life. It just means that you have to protect that. It's so precious and so important, and not everybody will get it. They might not see it until it's a big blooming flower visible to everybody, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist when it's just a tiny little seed in the soil starting to gain traction. So just recognize your tribe and find those resources to support you. Go for clarity and just protect your dream seed.
Mm. Amen to that. And to sum it up, find the people that speak life into you. That's it. That's
Yes.
all we need. It's so perfect what you said. And thank you again so very much for coming and having a conversation with me and sharing all of your wisdom with our tribe here. And it has been such a powerful talk. Thank you again so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time, taking the energy, bringing all of your goodness here. And my darlings, don't forget that in our footnotes here, you're going to have a little gift from Chelsea because she's wonderful and amazing and she gives from the heart. So make sure you take it, try it out. If you've never tried AI, please go ahead with ChatGPT. It's the simplest tool you can possibly start off with. Chelsea
Yeah.
agrees with me, obviously.
I do. I do. I think it's a great place to get started. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. And until the next week and next episode, my darlings, remember You're blessed, you're wonderful, you have power of choice. Surround yourself with people that speak life back into you, and remember to stay salty and bright. Bye now.
Bye.